as I say, if you use John Innes number 2, that has quite a lot of it has quite a longevity of goodness in it. But once it's got through that, then just a balanced feed on a small fruited one. Bigger fruited ones where you're picking lots of fruits off, you'll need more potash.
So would you use tomato feed, or what would you use?
You can use tomato feed. Something high potash, you can make your own. We have a big bed of comfrey leaves here that we use because it's high potash. But we use two sort of blends of feed really. Early on in the year we have a balanced feed because we want the plant to grow to a certain size. The bigger the plant, the more fruit it can hold. And then when we detect that it's got a reasonable amount of fruit set, we'll switch over to a feed that will favour the potash to help develop those fruits. If we go in and we have a big pick, then we'll switch back to the balanced one to put more nitrogen into it.
Is there any sort of telltale signs to look out for? Because this is sometimes quite hard, isn't it, to get it, you know, how many sort of signs to look that you might be overfeeding or underfeeding?
Well, overfeeding can be a problem with chilies, particularly if they get too much nitrogen. So if you were to grow them in your polytunnel and you just dug in a lot of manure, you might find the plants grow like you wouldn't believe, but they tend to neglect to set fruit. So you end up with a big green thing, but with no fruit on it. So levels of nitrogen definitely need to be controlled. Having said that, if it's too low, then you'll get the usual signs, of sort of off-colour leaves. Sometimes there's when you've got larger plants. This is more interest to people that are growing them in the ground really. But if you have large fruits, they can develop something called blossom end rot, where the end of the fruit starts to soften, and that's a very common problem with larger peppers and chilies, and that's a calcium deficiency. So whatever you're feeding them with, just make sure that there's some added calcium in there, or have a separate calcium feed every now and again, just to keep that topped up. So if you have a grow bag, for instance, and you're growing larger peppers, then just have a check on where the calcium's coming from.
So for something like tomatoes, sometimes they are quite hungry in containers, and they need feeding once a week, and some people feed them every time they water, but just more dilute. Are chilies that hungry, or how often? But is it once a week you need feeding?
Small chilies hardly taking anything from the soil. A plant like that, if you put that in John Innes number 2, it's not going to need anything else for quite a while. If it's a big, fast-growing, Hungarian hot wax, then you could, as you say, just come up with the right dilutions to feed it every time. So possibly if you look at the suggested, if it was a tomato feed, if you look at the suggested dosage on that, if you have a large fruited plant, you probably want to take that down a notch from tomatoes, because they are quite heavy fruits, and it puts on a lot of weight of fruit, so you probably want to knock it down a little bit. If you suspect that it started to grow a little too actively, then just sort of ease it down a bit.
And you said light's important, very important. So really the brightest, you're growing them inside the brightest windowsill.
The hours of daylight and good quality light.